one of the things that I really enjoyed 2 years ago was that we were beginning to interrogate issues from a feminist perspective, for example, which I think was a really important move within surveillance studies. And I would say that equally with this year's conference, there's been a very interesting shift to look at forms of surveillance that are emerging in schools and other places that children are growing up in this surveillance society. So it's an excellent way to get that broad view of the shifts in the field, but also to target in and get excellent research on the specifics of these new areas.
So there is the evolution. I think the pressing issue is probably secret services and the erosion of democracy due to surveillance and the erosion of social relations, if you like, throughout the very, very heterogeneous panels. So there's not this one, but I think there is one issue going through, that's the erosion of society, of a more democratic society as we would have wished it.
A session this morning, and related to my own research at the moment, is the use of police body-worn cameras. We're also seeing mobility and surveillance in terms of drones has been a big key theme here, and also looking at those reoccurring concepts of how this impacts on privacy, on notions of trust, freedom of expression and freedom of movement. So whilst we see some historical themes, I think, re-emerging and being reconceptualised, we also have an advent of a whole raft of new technologies.
I think it's very important to develop a network like the Surveillance Studies Network, because it's a way to connect many disciplines which were completely separated. The first one is security studies, where security studies was political science and international relations, and with a very precise idea about security as war, as prevention, and so on. And to connect that with surveillance studies or sociology of policing has been central, because of course you have different assumptions about the role of the state. The state is not just protecting, the state could be a danger in surveillance studies, especially if you look at the practice of policing, intelligence services or armies abroad.
And this conference, someone was saying it the other day, it's very young as well. So people coming from lots of different backgrounds. So I think the conference is a very good, and the network as well, is a very good reflection of what's happening to the theoretical field. It's just exploding and it's so relevant. So the insight that we've developed looking at more traditional technologies like CCTV can be applied to the technologies of the future, like the Internet of Things, big data. And I think we need to do that, not only to gain a better understanding of how society works and what kind of world we're creating, but also to shape that future world that we're going to be inhabiting, living in.
Surveillance studies has only been going for, 20 years, a little bit more perhaps. And so it's really exciting to see how a young organization has grown so rapidly, to see so many people here. But it's not just the number, it's both the fact that so many are younger people, young scholars, PhD students and postdocs, mixing very nicely, I think, with people who've been in the field for a long time. So I find that very encouraging indeed. But also the quality of the relationships that people have, I find that to be just very encouraging, reassuring, stimulating, because there is a lack of that kind of competitive spirit that so easily undermines relationships and makes people feel awkward, whereas here I think there's a lot of cooperation and genuine encouragement of each other in the work that we're doing. So yeah, I find it a very stimulating and inspiring, actually, place to be.
There are none more than they are. There's only one than they are. When I get old, 64.